To have you today. Today, we are here to strengthen our partnerships and to drive impact across our communities. This convening is about collaboration. Our goal is to connect with organizations, share expertise, and discuss how we can help you do your work best. Your voice does matter, and although we're asking you to put yourself on mute right now, there will be plenty of times for you to ask questions. And because I can't see the share of the slide, I'm just going to ask if we're on the slide that now shows kind of our housekeeping for the moment. All right. So your voice does matter. As I just said, we want you to be able to ask questions. We just kindly ask that you put your questions in the chat for now. There will be a brief a moment for us to do Q&A, and then afterwards we will have a breakout session. So after the presentations, there will be breakout sessions where you'll be able to ask even more questions. When you're in the chat, please feel free to introduce yourself so we get to know who you are. Audio, as I've stated many times already, to ensure the best experience for all of our participants, we just ask that you stay on mute during the presentations and also during the beginning of the breakout sessions until there's a chance to unmute. Use that chat feature as much as you can. We'll try to address and bring up your questions in the breakout. We'll try to address your questions as quickly as we can. And I just want to add that we do have an AI disclaimer. LISC in general does not permit AI note takers in these sort of events. We don't allow bot participation, so we kindly ask that you do not have a bot in the room. And if we do see any bots, we will ask that we will remove them automatically. So we thank you for your participation, but no robots or AI today in our event. However, we will have a recording of this session and we'll have slides available. Thank you again for being here. It's time to get started with our first speaker. Our first speaker is Valerie White. She has a dual role. I'll let her tell you about it.
Mute myself. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So glad to see you all. Wanting to be sure that I am heard. I don't see myself on mute, so I will continue. Thank you so much for joining us. As someone who has spent decades working to uplift communities across New York, I'm so honored to be here today with partners who share our deep commitment to impact and transformation. Again, my name is Valerie White, and I serve as the Senior Executive Director of LISC New York. But recently, my role expanded to include leadership of our National Housing Strategic Initiatives, a responsibility I embrace with pride as a lifelong New Yorker. This dual role allows me to align local innovation with national strategy, ensuring that our communities receive the visibility and investment they deserve. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to recognize the incredible work of the LISC New York team. Across our units, community capital investments, external affairs, housing, and programs, our senior directors, investment officers, and community development officers continue to drive investment into under-resourced and unrealized markets across New York State. We've expanded our footprint into new communities while deepening our presence in our two long-standing markets. Your dedication is the engine behind our impact, and we thank you. The Local Initiative Support Corporation, or LISC, is a national nonprofit community development financial institution, or CDFI, founded in 1982 in the Bronx. Today, LISC operates in 36 or so markets across the U.S., with LISC New York being our flagship and first office. Our mission is to catalyze opportunity in communities that need it by deploying capital, building partnerships, supporting local institutions that understand the neighborhoods best. Each organization represented here shares a mission aligned with ours. You are driving deep impact in your communities, and we are proud to stand beside you all. One of the most important tools we use to support you is the annual partner survey. Completing this survey is not just a formality, it is a strategic necessity. Now, here's why it matters. It helps us identify service gaps and target resources where they're needed most. It informs our strategy to reflect your realities. It strengthens our advocacy efforts for increased capital and technical assistance. It ensures your organization is connected to the right LISC New York team member, whether it's community capital investments, housing, or programs. Now, in a few minutes, you'll hear from the staff leading our initiatives. They'll share how we are tackling complex challenges while remaining deeply rooted in the communities we serve. But before I turn it over to the fabulous LISC New York team, I want to acknowledge a special guest, Dr. Ruth Jones-Nichols, LISC Executive Vice President of Local and National Programs. Dr. Nichols, or as we affectionately call her, Dr. Ruth, has been with LISC for a little over a year and has been a strong supporter of our strategy to strengthen our partnerships with local community-based organizations and nonprofits, and to grow our presence across the state of New York. The LISC New York team and I thank Dr. Ruth for her support in elevating LISC's evolving role and building solutions that meet the moment and the future. So together, we are all not just responding to challenges, we are shaping the future of community development in New York. So I thank you so much, and I will turn it back over to Tyra to start the program.
Thank you, Valerie. And thanks again to all of those that are joining us a little bit late. We're thrilled to have you here. As was stated earlier, we will have plenty of time for question and answers, but if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. We're going to start begin our presentations again with Lachey. And hopefully, Lachey, you have a few slides and hopefully you can see them. I'm not sure, I do not hear Lachey. Okay, it looks like you're on mute.
I was still on mute. Thanks, Tyra. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lachey Young. I'm the Senior Director for Programs and Admin for LISC New York State. Very happy to see everyone here this morning and those who are still joining in. I'm just briefly going to sort of top level. I know many of you are existing partners of LISC, and those of you who might be new, who are looking to find out, how you partner with LISC, I'm going to just give a very high level sort of description of who LISC is. So of course, you're looking at this first slide saying who we are. So LISC, the Local Initiative Support Corporation, is one of the country's largest community development nonprofits. We are a community development financial institution. We work with residents and partners to close gaps in health, wealth, and opportunities so that people and places can thrive. Next slide, please. Who's in charge of the slide? Next slide, please. Thank you. So how do we do that? So as a community development financial institution, we raise money. Ultimately, LISC raise the money and we invest that directly into the communities that we work with. So many times that's working through community partners, like many of you, that's working with developers, nonprofit and for-profit, that's working with, small businesses, and really looking at the community ecosystem as a whole when we look at these investments. And sort of swinging back to a point that Valerie made, one part for us being a statewide operation that helps us to really pinpoint where these investments go is through our partner survey, which the team will talk about later on in this program. Next, please. So when we're looking to build connections, again, we're really looking to have very meaningful, impactful connections. We want to understand the needs of our nonprofit partners so that when we have these discussions with our agency partners as well as our corporate partners, we're able to make those very specific connections that grows the impact that we're looking to have across the state and really prioritize, you know, the sort of joint connection and impact that both partners, both corporate, like I said, agency, like such as state or city, as well as those nonprofits that are directly on the ground. And I'll go to the next one. This is still me, okay. So since the inception of LISC New York, we are the flagship of LISC. So, you know, we like to talk about that. We have invested directly over $4 billion, which has leveraged an additional $10 billion, and that represents over 50,000 affordable homes and apartments, as well as 3 million square feet of commercial and community space. And last year was a huge year for us, and we're continuing to grow our investments across the state, where we had a record of 124 million in investments across the state. And that represented, that leveraged an additional 323 million, and that represented 763 units, as well as 50,000 square feet of community and or commercial space, as well as creating over 900 jobs. So we, again, when it comes to these investments, we are always looking to have results oriented and long-term success with these. And then on the side here, you'll hear about several of these today, but just want to point out a few that I know are going to be discussed. So looking at our housing programs, our wealth opportunities realized through home ownership, our NILOP, New York Land Opportunity Program, our developers training program, as well as our Clean Mobility Buffalo, our small capital grants program up in Buffalo. These are some ways in which we are connected to, our community partners and are able to work together. They're also shown as examples because there are ways that we can bring these to different localities, different markets, and really hone in on what are the specific needs of those areas. And we are able to sort of create and generate programming around and investments around the needs of that specific area. Next one. And this is just a look at the sort of LISC New York business ecosystem. So the first slide where we talked about how LISC as a whole, how we raise capital to invest directly into markets, the LISC New York sort of strategy around this is seen here in this nice graphic, where when we're looking at our investments, we're also looking to tie in the capacity building, which means the technical assistance specifically to the direct needs of the partners or communities that we're working with. And then swinging back, you're going to hear this a lot today, swinging back to sort of this data repository, which is the first sort of step into that is our partner survey. Again, that really drives and helps us to strategize how we make our investments and also what are the technical assistance and capacity building needs of our partners at large, and helping us make those, again, direct connections to whether it's, funding opportunities, again, to technical assistance opportunities, whatever it may be. That is really where that's our sort of jump off point for that. Going to the next one. And sort of looking just back since 2022, May of 2022, we have been working under this statewide construct. Prior to that, we were two separate offices, one in Western New York, located in Buffalo, one here in New York City, where I am. And we have, again, been working across this statewide construct, as we like to say, from Brooklyn to Buffalo. We are covering the full over 55,000 square miles of New York, active in what we know 8 of the 10 regions. We got to work on North Country, but we're going to get there. So since then, just again, looking back from 2022 to up until now 2025, there has been 2.7 million that represents capacity building. That's 17% of our grant activity. When we're looking at business assistance, those remain a major focus. 595 entrepreneurs have received capital, technical assistance, or operational support. 290 small businesses have received direct grants, and that is representative of 1.1 million. And then looking at our sustainability work, again, you'll hear about more of this in detail as we go through the program. But we have done some great work up in the Buffalo area around clean mobility and transportation alternatives, having deployed over 8.6 million on the east side of Buffalo, connected to that cause. Going next, and I think I'm supposed to turn this over to someone at this point or not. I saw Jean-Luc. Thanks, everybody.
Well, thanks so much, Lachey. So I'm Jean-Luc Saint-Fleur. I'm the Senior Community Development Officer here in the Downstate region. As Lachey pointed out earlier, sure a lot of you have seen the partner survey through the registration links. I'm here to talk a little bit about that, just give you a brief history of what made us start doing the survey and just basically discussing future steps. As you can see, I want you to pay attention to the December 19th deadline. So we would love for everyone participating to sort of take the time to tell us a little bit about your organization. That way we could sort of be better prepared to address your needs and match you with opportunities. So before we dive into what's new this year, I just want to tell you a little bit about how we started collecting the data. Every year we send a partner survey out. The good news is that we've been getting quite a few responses, and with the responses that we've been receiving, we've been gathering some insights. So we pretty much know what the partners are, who the partners are, what they do, and what they need from us. So thank you for that. I looked at a few past responses, and everything partners told us about their capacity, their challenges, and use that as a foundation to create a clear picture of what our network would look like today. It's very simple. The survey helps us move faster when opportunities come up. So new private funding, a federal partnership, a Section 4 opening, we already have what we need because partners share it with us. That's why we take that proactive approach, because we understand the details, we can deliver the support that actually matters. And when we look at the landscape from both past responses and the new ones coming in, we see partners doing incredible work in the following areas: affordable housing, economic development, youth services, small business services, advocacy, and organizing. This tells us something powerful where you're focusing your time, energy, and expertise. Now let us take a deeper look at what the initial insights that we've gathered from the responses we've received so far this year. Based on the responses we've gathered across the board so far, those are 4 needs that rise to the top. Internal capacity to secure funding, board development in governments, professional development for staff, housing preservation support. Obviously this may change as more responses come in. So we encourage you to submit your responses as soon as possible. That way we could run more analysis and be able to pretty much share our insights moving forward at our next convening, which I believe will be roughly around February. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Tyra, who will walk us through the steps that we need to connect up with upcoming funding opportunities and our partners' overall readiness.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. I'm just going to say that once again, we can't underscore enough why it's important for you to participate in our partner survey. I would like to point out that our partner survey is meant for our nonprofit partners. Occasionally we get a question about who should be filling it out. It's not for business partners, it is for our nonprofit partners. And we do have some potential opportunities that have come up. Again, I'll emphasize potential. If you are a survey partner that has already filled this out, you've probably seen that there are spaces for you to upload information about, your board governance, the types of work you do, your mission goals, and et cetera. We look at those things very carefully, as Jean-Luc stated earlier. We not only look at them, we try to do an analysis and we try to figure out how we can help you more. But we also look at them for tentative funding opportunities. And so we have one that has come up that's an internal LISC opportunity, actually two different ones. And they are coming from our Section 4 dollars. Section 4 is mostly for CDCs or CHDOs, affordable housing and community development. And there's two different funds that we currently can compete for. There's one is a capacity building or a capacity building impact fund. And that's for, organizations like the ones that are represented here that are mission driven, and they're either trying to do things with their infrastructure, improve their operations, technology, so forth. And then we also have an innovation fund that's available that aims to support program activity that might have been impacted by recent changes in federal funding. So in order to put yourself in the running for those, we need you to fill out those surveys. If you're interested in either one of these, I know I gave a very brief description, but these are internal grant opportunities. So there's not any website you could go to say, okay, here's, all the criteria. It really is something that's evaluated by our internal LISC staff. But if you're interested, when you are filling out your survey, there's a portion that asks you to upload your mission, vision, and goals. Within that portion, you should add some additional information about a particular project or program that you have that might fit into one of these two categories that you would like for us to have consideration of. This is an opportunity that we can't give to a lot of our partners. We can only put forth so many as LISC New York, but just make sure that if you're interested, that you're putting in things like the program that you're doing, putting in some detail about it, clearly explain how this program will help you build your organization, provide a timeline, and also provide a budget. So if you have some outside funding, we want to see that as well. If you have questions about that, you can either talk to myself, Jean-Luc, or other people that are on this call identified as LISC New York staff members. And you can also maybe talk to us later today when we get to our sessions, our breakout sessions. So with that said, our next speaker is Mr. Damon, and he's going to talk about affordable housing.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. Glad to see such a large group of participants. My name is Damon Thompson. I'm Senior Director on our LISC National Housing team, and I will be here talking about our affordable housing initiatives. So just a background, our team is working on a One LISC strategy. As we know, housing is foundational to LISC. And so I really don't consider it a program. We really look at it as a business line, because housing is the main thing that we do that not only touches LISC, but it also touches our affiliates as well. So Broad Street, National Equity Fund, LISC Fund Management, and then along with the parent company. So Valerie and I and team will be working together on this strategy and also uplifting our 5 programmatic pillars. 3 of those I will be discussing in the next slides. Next slide. So we have our New York Land Opportunity Program. Just to give you a background on that program, this is a flagship program that helps not only faith-based organizations, but also mission-driven organizations reuse vacant land. It's either vacant land or underutilized properties to do just that, develop and bring new affordable housing online. What's different about this program than other programs you may see in the market is the deep level of technical assistance along with the pre-development capital. It's one thing to be able to provide that. It's one thing to be able to provide the TA. However, if the financing doesn't come along with that, then you're really back at square one. So through this program, over 612 housing units are in the pipeline to be developed among the cohorts. Next slide. Then our developers training program, as we like to call Emerge. So at LISC, we have various levels of developer training programs. So I would really consider this program our gold star. It's a comprehensive training program that's focused on supporting developers to not only expand their portfolio, but also, once again, the deep level of technical assistance to help them increase their capacity, along with connecting them with the financial resources that they need in order to be able to go from project idea to actually shovel ready. So almost 49 million in housing units have been financed. 401 housing units have been created across New York State. Next slide. And then we have, under our homeownership readiness and access, our wealth opportunity realized through homeownership. Say that fast 5 times, or as we affectionately call it, it's our worth initiative. So our worth initiative is just that. It is about connecting potential homeowners with units. It's about transitioning renters into homeowners. So to date, 4.5 million has been raised to support this initiative through Wells Fargo, and it has helped to preserve almost 5,600 housing units. Think about it. That is affordable units. Typically, nope, go back. Thank you. Typically targeted at families around anywhere from 50% AMI up to 80% AMI. So the goal was 5,000 homeowners by the end of 2025. That's been exceeded. Like I said, we're almost at 5,600 units that have been preserved, along with over 600 new homeowners that have also been connected with housing. Next slide. So our 2025 highlights across our housing platforms. So LISC New York provides, as I've mentioned, not only technical assistance, but it also provides the financing to help under-resourced, whether it's developers, whether it's churches, whether it's houses of worship, whether it's mission-driven organizations, to advance affordable housing across New York under these 3 pillars: the developers training, NILOP, and Worth. So just some high level from 2025. We haven't finished, almost finished. We're in 4th quarter now. So just going over our metrics. So under developers training, successfully completed 1 additional cohort under the developers training program. We have, since 2001, graduated a total of 106 developers. As I mentioned, that has led to financing nearly $49 million to support 400 housing units between the 5 cohorts. Of course, within that, we also have, in order to be able to track our own metrics, we have a robust data tracking system. And then we have also, as a part of LISC and at the work of this team, we've been able to replicate this work. So we have launched and completed a cohort in Charlotte. It's called the Ready Training Program with 15 graduate developers. They've had their first Shark Tank, which is their graduation. That's where they pitch, just like in Shark Tank, they pitch to receive their pre-development funding. We have also replicated this program in Flint, Michigan, and we are also finalizing to replicate this program in Virginia. So, as for anyone who has done work with LISC, one thing you will know about LISC is when you have a flagship program, as I call it, we will take it and we will bring that to other markets. That is the beauty of LISC, is being able to take work from one area and being able to replicate that in other markets. With the NILOP program, we have an RFP out, we have an RFI out right now for the 2025 cohort for, I believe, 4 separate properties. We've identified and selected the 10 organizations that are currently participating in the 2025 cohort. We are continuing, as I talked about, that deep technical assistance, continuing to support the 2024 NILOP cohort. We've done site visits. This year, I had the opportunity to go to Buffalo, meet with 2 of the great organizations, and we have kicked off the initial reception and launch of the 2025 cohort. Our goal with NILOP is also to replicate this work across the network. We know that our Bay Area office has their Faith in Housing program. We also know Puget Sound also works with faith-based organizations and mission-driven organizations. And to that effort, we are currently working on a case study around this program that we plan to release within the next 2 weeks. And then in the first quarter of 2026, we will have a national webinar. So stay tuned. You will receive a save the date for the webinar that will be held in January to highlight the work of not only NILOP, but also to highlight the work, as I mentioned, in our Bay Area and in Puget Sound as well. And then finally, under Worth, we preserved, as I mentioned, almost 5,600 units. We have provided housing counseling to over almost 17,000 residents, of which 575 have purchased homes, and we are making progress with our pipeline of 5,000 net new homeowners by the end of 2025. So great work going on in New York across these 3 pillars in the affordable housing space. And then with that, I will pass it on to Christine.
Thank you, Damon.
You're welcome.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. So my name is Christine Rutzloff O'Connell. I'm the Senior Director for Capital Investments and Expanded Markets for LISC New York. I manage our lending team, and I have a number of investment officers that support securing and also closing on acquisition, construction, permanent, mini-permanent, bridge, lots of different types of financing to support a number of different types of projects that need to close to advance community development in communities across New York. So this is a snapshot of LISC National Investment. This is as of the end of 2024, just a couple of highlights that we closed on over $32 billion by the end of 2024, which leveraged $87 billion in financing. Next slide. As I mentioned, our investments, our lending investments are focused on pre-development, acquisition, construction, mini-permanent bridge, and some lines of credit. We do a lot of lending around pre-development. I see some folks on the call who have received some pre-development financing from us, or who may have closed on a construction loan with us. I'm going to give a couple of examples of the type of projects that we finance, which include community facilities, mixed use, commercial, economic development, charter schools, and affordable housing. We will finance both rental and homeownership projects. We've financed a number of different types of homeownership. So some of that looks like multifamily, limited equity co-ops, and some of that looks like scattered site, single family homes. We finance some projects that are on land trusts. So we are trying to serve and invest in a number of different types of facilities and types of affordable housing across the state. Next. So this is just a little bit more detail. I'm going to go over the highlights, but know that we will share this presentation and the recording afterwards. We hope that you'll revisit this and consider us if you are looking to finance a project that's either affordable housing or economic development focused. For pre-development loans, we will go up to $2 million. And we will even provide an unsecured pre-development loan of up to $500,000. So that means that we won't seek a collateral position on a pre-development loan below $500,000. We have very clear legal fees and origination fees, 1.5% origination, and an in-house legal fee, which is based on the loan amount. We will size an interest reserve into our loan, which is great because it allows these loans to be organized so that the developer can continue the work and pull interest from the loan amount. The majority of our loans are up to 3 years, and we do have fixed interest rates, which again is a benefit to these projects that are typically a little harder to finance, a little harder to put together. So it does not have a floating rate. The other thing I'd like to mention is because we're an intermediary, we are always leveraging and identifying subsidy sources, and those subsidy sources can be used for recoverable grants. They can be used to help blend down our rate to a lower amount, which helps a project pencil out even more. So it's another way that we're providing a little bit more technical assistance, a little more support for our projects so that they can pencil out and move forward. Next. There are a few other types of loans that we provide. We'll do an in-house permanent loan, typically up to 10 years. We will provide bridge financing. So if you have a capital grant that has an award letter, we will bridge that financing. Sometimes that doesn't come in until the project is complete. And then on working capital line of credit, we will sometimes provide a line of credit if there are multiple projects that you're working on that may need pre-development support. We can organize that as a line of credit versus an individual pre-development loan. Next. So I'm just going to go over a couple of projects that we've closed in the last couple of years. LaShay mentioned in her overview that our end of year tally for lending last year was $122 million. So we finance both on balance sheet and we manage partner funds. So we'll work with other CDFIs or other lending partners to put together the financing for a particular project. So that 122 includes multiple sources of funding that we leverage to invest in these projects. So for my lending partners on the call, I hope you're taking note and that we can continue to grow our participation structure on projects going forward. This project it was an acquisition loan through New York City Acquisition Fund, or NYCAF. It is a New York City centric program, but it allows us to provide acquisition financing up to 130% LTV loan to value. So this $24.7 million acquisition was possible, and it's within Jamaica, Queens, which just went through or finalized its rezoning initiative last week. Next. This is a project that we closed on this year in Buffalo. We're very proud to have partnered on this project. The team, Thankful Gardens, received a grant from LISC a few years ago, which was pre-development focused. And a few years later, after getting their financing organized along with the state, we were able to close on this project, which is an infill of a few formerly city-owned sites and a renovation of an existing structure. It'll create 20 new apartments that will serve as supportive housing. Next. This is an example of an economic development project. So this was originally an acquisition loan, and then later a construction and mini permanent loan for an arts foundation. It's a photography-focused organization based in New York City. So we helped them acquire the ground floor retail space and then build it out so that they can expand their programming, which includes educational and training components with several public schools within New York City. Next. This is another arts organization located in Brooklyn. It's a theater that also provides some training and education programs, and we help them acquire and construct. Next. This is a homeownership project, just to give a flavor around the limited equity co-ops that I mentioned. These are 4 formerly city-owned properties that are being converted to limited equity co-ops. That type of financing takes a lot of additional support because there is a process on the back end where the units are sold. And the process of converting to limited equity co-op requires approval from the New York State Attorney General. So all of these processes are a little lengthy. They take a little bit more support and handholding. And so, this is an example of the type of project where we provide that kind of technical assistance and support to our borrowers. Next. So I mentioned that we work with partners. Those are both internal and external partners. For construction financing, we are a NYCAF originator, as I mentioned, which is New York City centric, but we also work with New York City Housing Preservation and Development and New York State Homes and Community Renewal to finance projects. For tax credits, we can work with our affiliates, which are National Equity Fund and then Broad Street Impact Services. And then for permanent financing within the 5 boroughs in New York City, and permanent financing is 30-year financing, typically for affordable housing projects. We'll work with NYSERS, or the New York City Employee Retirement System, within the 5 boroughs, and then work with AFL-CIO HIT outside of New York City. Next. I did want to also mention that we are a technical assistance provider for borrowers that have hit the 15-year mark after their initial LIHTC closing. And we'll provide some technical assistance to get them to typically secure a little bit additional debt to rehab or provide some moderate rehab for the existing buildings, and then support them as their investor exits the transaction. So if you have a LIHTC project that has hit that 15-year mark and you're looking for some support and guidance as you're working through either the state or the city financing to and investor exit, we're happy to support in that way as well. Next. Okay. That's giving it back to Tyra.
All right, Christine, thank you. It's
Thank you.
actually my understanding we had 2 questions in the chat. I'm actually going to ask John Luke to identify them because he's the one that brought them to my attention. They are both housing related. So why don't we just take those right away? We're a little bit ahead of schedule. So why don't we take those since they're on the topic of housing right away? John Luke, can you maybe come off mic or come on mic and tell us what those questions were?
Yes, so we have Megan that asked, do you see a program like Worth moving outside of New York City?
I can answer that. We currently have 2 other sites that also received Wells Fargo funding, but we're also looking to expand the program across the LISC network. So we have 5 programs under our umbrella. So DTP, home ownership access, homeowners, home repair, heirs, and then we also have our faith-based and mission-based work. So our goal is across not only the local markets, but also in markets where we may not specifically have a local office.
Okay, and we have one more question, and I will just say we have a few more slides, so we're going to keep sharing. And Jean-Luc, if you could just bring up that other question real quick.
Before I go further, Megan, was the question answered?
Gosh, yes, thank you.
Okay, great. We also have Sandra Brown who said, we are opening up a homeless shelter. Is there funding through LISC for startups? Our area is in desperate need.
Sure. So I'll respond to that. So LISC does finance supportive housing, but we finance permanent supportive housing. Shelters are considered temporary supportive housing. Although we don't finance that type of project internally, I'm happy to make connections with Supportive Housing Network of New York that can help identify some resources for the type of project that you're talking about.
Great. So we'll just go to the next slide for now, just so that everybody knows how to get in contact with us. So we have a series of slides that show our lovely faces on the LISC New York staff and our email addresses. So we'll go through those slowly, just so if you want to take a screen grab, you could do that. But please remember that we will share the slides as well. And because I'm having technical difficulties and I can't necessarily see which slides are being shared, I'm just going to trust that you're able to see all 3 of them. And but at a slow pace. And then we have one more slide that is kind of our Q&A slide. So if you have additional questions, please, at this time, we're going to just do a little bit of Q&A. as a group as its entirety, but after that, we will be having a breakout session where we will break into 3 different groups: housing, economic development, and community capital investments. And you'll be able to talk a little bit more in detail there as well. But if there is a slide, or sorry, if there is a question you think would be nice to be addressed to the general group, you could put it in the chat. And I'm going to lean on my colleagues to alert me if there's questions that I cannot see. I don't see any. Okay. All right. Well, good, because that gives us more chance to talk in smaller groups. We have quite a few people here. So it will give you a chance to get some more details. So I think it is time to go to our breakout sessions. There should be a selection that you'll be able to see in a few minutes.
If you
Oh,
just
yes.
excuse me, I just
Oh,
wanted
please
to,
do.
I just wanted to give you the heads up that Miss Sherry Sherrill just raised her hand.
Oh, thank you so much, Doris. Teamwork makes the dream work. Sherry, please, you can come, please share with us what you like to say.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to turn my volume down so I'm not echoing so much. But I'm a consultant in Buffalo, New York. I'm working with a minority community faith leader who owns a beautiful historic architecture, just a mammoth building that could be so many mixed adaptive reuse purpose. He's looking to partner with LISC. Is there any program at LISC right now that he can, I can gear him toward and steer him to?
Christine, I'm assuming that question's going to go to you.
Yeah, so as Damon reviewed our New York Land Opportunity Program, which has a statewide component. Damon, I'll let you advise on when the next cohort may launch, but I know we're currently we don't have an active opening for a cohort at this point. And so I would say, as a next best step, you can refer them to me, and I'd be happy to have a conversation about what the process looks like to get started, if they have a development partner, or if they're looking for a development partner, and then what it takes for them to be ready to seek a loan. Sherry, you're on mute. Okay, great.
I think you answered your question. Okay, so it was asked if we could share a little bit more about those breakout sessions. Christine, since you were just talking, yours is number 3, but I will say in general, we have some questions that we want to ask the groups about their needs, what challenges they have and things of that sort. But we've divided it into 3 categories. And one of them is community capital investment. So Christine, maybe you could tell them a little bit more about, things that you might want to ask or plan to cover in that breakout room. And I will ask the same of Damon and Perez. But really we are there to convene and kind of ask you questions as well.
Yeah, so in breakout room 3, I will provide some feedback on community capital investments. I just want to know, breakout room 2 is regarding economic development, and Press Adams will be leading that conversation. Press is on my team, and he is the lead for our economic development financing for LISC New York. So if you are interested in learning more about childcare center financing or art space financing, light manufacturing financing, I would recommend breakout room number 2. If you're looking to learn a little bit more about maybe what kind of resources we have for general financing, or if you have questions about affordable housing or homeownership financing, please come to room number 3. And then just a plug for room number 1 is focused on some of the training and technical assistance programs that Damon reviewed during his presentation.
I would also add that I know that we have quite a few economic development or business service organizations in the room with us today. Thank you for being here. I see your lovely faces and your logos. And because of that, I just would say they would probably want to go to room number 2 as well. I think Jean-Luc's going to be there as well. And Jean-Luc helps a lot with our grant activities. So, that would be the room for you. Okay, so our breakout sessions are in progress. We ask that you all choose. There should be an option. I'm looking at faces to see if people are able to go into breakout sessions. I see people have already moved. So there should be an option, room 1, 2, or 3. Don't see anybody on the phone, so hopefully people can choose for themselves.
I'm not seeing the option. Is it just popping up on the screen?
It should be. Are you using a Mac or
Mac.
Okay, Macs are always tricky. And I asked you that, but I can't even help you. Macs are weird.
Where's the
Let's
pop-up?
see.
I'm so sorry. Where's the pop-up button?
Okay, so it should have popped up on your screen. So you might just want to see if you had, questions you didn't get to, you can put that in the form as well. In addition to that, one more time, we'd like to underscore that the partner survey is really important to us. It allows us to get to know you, to let us know what you are trying to accomplish and how we can help. We're putting a deadline of December 19th on that. And we have that deadline in part because we'd like to summarize that information and utilize it, but also we're planning another convening. And so we'd like to share some of those results. We're planning a future convening for February of 2026. We'd love to have you all back. But to have a successful convening, we need your support. We need you to fill out those surveys and give us the information that will help you and also your fellow nonprofits and organizations continue to succeed. I don't have much to say after that. It's been lovely having you here today. We very much consider it an honor to be partners with all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank